Recorded?
Hi, welcome to the final in the Spotlight series this week, where we shine a light on entrepreneurs, SMEs, and innovators. I'm Maxine Crow, your host, and I'm absolutely delighted to be joined by the lovely Rebecca Wormleighton, COO of Zendelity. Hi, Rebecca.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me today. I'm very excited to be here.
And I'm really happy that we're ending on a high this week. So it's a lovely Friday and just something for the listeners to take into the weekend.
Nice. Yeah, me too. Yeah, thank you.
So Rebecca, introduce yourself and then let us know what's inspired you and tell us about your journey. What's inspired you to be an SME?
My name is Rebecca Wormleighton, so I'm COO of Zendelity. I've got a long history in the enterprise B2B space. I've always had the opportunity. My background is in product marketing, product management. So I've always been involved in new products and new strategies and going after new markets. And this opportunity presented itself, and I really couldn't say no. It was an opportunity to craft and go after a space that really we believe is really brand new. Like, we haven't seen other solutions playing this space, approaching this problem the way we are. So it's very exciting. It brings with it many challenges, not surprisingly. But it's exciting to be at the kind of forefront of change.
That's exciting. So tell us about Zendelity, tell us about the product, and then you mentioned there about challenges. So after you've explained about the products, just what's it like for listeners who are thinking about, okay, I've got a product or service, want to enter new markets. So talk about Zendelity first, and then we'll progress on to some other things.
Absolutely. So in essence, we're in the business of we're trying to digitally transform duty of care. So if you think of every single business that you go into, whether that be as a customer or whether that be as an employee, the owners and the operators have a duty of care to us as the people that are using that facility. And in order to manage compliance and keep everybody safe, there are thousands of pieces of equipment across any given property that need to be maintained: fire extinguishers, AEDs, sprinklers, refrigeration system, HVACs, the likes. And there's hundreds of procedures that are documented and put in place to ensure that nobody drops the ball. So our goal is to get, whereas a lot of technology out there really relies on inspections and audits in order to manage risk and reduce risk, identify risk, we're really looking to change the equation and make sure that the job gets done right the first time. So rather than relying on inspections and audits, we have designed technology to make sure that the right person is physically in the right location, doing the right job at the right time, that they're following the right procedures, and that those procedures are being actioned in real time so that we can identify and reduce risk proactively versus, waiting to find it kind of on the back end. So we the journey into this space, or how we came upon, we've actually been selling to the cruise industry for many years. And one day, one of our cruise customers, they came to us looking for a better way to do fire watch on board the ships, following marine law. So we built them a solution called Patrol, which was really the concept for what we have today. And it was at that time that we realized that the reality is, when it comes to our physical safety and all the procedures that need to be followed to keep us safe, it's still 99% of the time managed with paper.
Yeah.
And that exposes operations to not only, it's the weakest link. It's often not the procedures or the people that are the problem. It's the fact that everything's written on paper. We don't know. The data can't be verifiable. Management can't be confident that everything has been done. So we're really looking to change that and deliver audit-proof, real-time physical operating compliance data, so we can be confident day in, day out that the people in our property is protected.
So I'd imagine that your system as well actually massively reduces human error that can come from, if Joe's off on annual leave, but his piece of paper is filed in his tray somewhere and there needs to be something done, then what happens.
Oh, absolutely. We have one of our customers is a large Canadian Carleton University here in Ottawa, and they've got 2,500 fire extinguishers across their property that legally need to be inspected on a monthly basis. So they have
Mm,
a dedicated individual, lovely lady who is responsible for doing those inspections every month. She's 65 years old. She
yeah,
knows where all the fire extinguishers are hidden across the property, right? But so if she's sick or if she were to leave, then they're going to be exposed to risk during that period because we're human. We're going to make mistakes. We're going to miss fire extinguishers. We're going to do it. And I like to say when it comes to safety, it's not a matter of if. It's often a matter of when, right? So
yeah,
it's what do we do to prepare ourselves and protect the business?
yeah, yeah. Can you just that's an amazing insight into what you do, and it's very, very exciting. Are you only in Canada, or is it a global platform? Is it a global solution?
So, it's absolutely because we sell to cruise ships as well. So, I mean, anybody can do it. Currently, our data we are on Microsoft Azure. So,
Yeah,
if there were data requirements, we'd have to, address that. But there's absolutely no reason why anyone can't use a solution, with the exception that the interface currently today is English. But all
yeah,
the instructions and procedures, of course, could be written in any language,
yeah,
really,
yeah,
at this stage. But yeah, I mean, that's something that we've tried really hard to do, is as well as when you look at a lot of the technology when it comes to our safety, it's very departmental, right? There's a solution for housekeeping, there's a solution for maintenance, one for custodial teams, et cetera, and et cetera. So in that case, we get no economies of scale and we get no single version of the truth when it actually comes to our safety, because it's not just one department that plays a role in our safety. It's
yeah,
every department coming together and doing their part. So with all these distributed solutions, it's just yet another weakest link, because we don't know what we don't know. We don't know what's in any of these systems, right? So we've designed the solution in a way that it's got the flexibility so we can manage any operating procedures across any department, and we conform to the operation versus the operation having to conform to us. In other
yeah,
words, like, this is the way housekeeping run. No, whatever you like, you tell me, and we can give you real-time audit-proof data on it, so that you can really start to be confident in compliance. I see safety as an opportunity to be a differentiator. So often we focus on customer service, and of course we should. That should never go away. I don't think, but equally as important, and I think more so now, especially post-COVID, that safety can be a huge differentiator for operations, for whether it be for recruiting or whether it be for our customers, if we
yeah.
choose to be.
That's absolutely amazing, and I just love the fact that, because Microsoft, in terms of, I mean, it's a global solution, and I don't know anyone that hasn't touched Microsoft in business. So it's good to know that you're using Azure as the platform. Um, you talked before about doing product development and marketing. Just talk about some of the challenges that you encountered when you came to Zendelity, and what was for the learners, what kind of strategy did you employ, without giving away too many confidentialities? I know
Well,
you probably don't do
yeah,
it.
it was interesting. So when I joined the organization, we were kind of really at a cusp of change, where we were looking at what we were doing as an organization, and it was really, it was time to grow and expand the business. So it became a matter of really looking at, we actually at one point stepped back and said, what do we want to do, right?
Yeah,
And where do we want to go? And this concept of physical operating compliance was really just morphing, into our into our brains, really, about a different way that we could do this. And it took a lot of time, talking to people and researching about the space, and understanding it, to feel confident that we were, heading in the right direction, um, and pursuing it. So I think that, from a product marketing strategy perspective, it's really stepping back and understanding who specifically are we going after and what specific value do we bring to them. One of the big challenges, it was interesting when we first started, I focused a lot on the high level risks. So
Yeah.
OSHA violations, and the cost of a slip and fall, and all of these kind of high level things.
Yeah.
And what I realized is of course that's important, but that's kind of the corporate head, right? When we think about the teams that are responsible for safety, I almost refer to them like the sandwich generation, right? So they're like they're like us who are looking after our parents and our kids, but except they're in this middle and they're responding to corporate,
Yeah.
right? To justify budget, negotiate, planning, all of that stuff. And then they're pushing responsibilities down, but they're like sandwiched in the middle and they've got no data, right? To justify, what's happening down and then what's happening up, right? Like I look at the teachers as I think a fantastic example, especially
Yeah.
in the US, right? So they've got a union for the maintenance people, they have a union for the teachers, and then they've got administration. Well, the poor people in the middle that are maintaining the facilities, they got the teachers saying, do more, be more for safety, right? And then they're going to have administration going, cut costs, reduce costs, doing all that. And so they don't have the data to demonstrate not only what they're doing for safety, but then to validate how they need more budget to actually meet the requirements of the teacher's side of things, right? So
Yeah.
you're kind of in this, it's this tug of war. And so that's something that has been, really taking the time to understand that challenge for that group
Yeah.
of people, because I think we can really, by giving them data, not only can we make budgeting easier and everything else, but we can also make onboarding and supporting our customers and the efficiency of those resources that today, since COVID, is so precious, right? Like it seems to me that you can't find any frontline resources anywhere. And then when you do, they're not staying long. So, again, that departmental manager is in bit of a pickle, right? Because they're constantly trying to onboard and train new people and make sure the procedures are followed and then report up. And, how do you do that without data?
You're absolutely right, and data for a number of years and more now is becoming, that's how we manage. We manage by data. If you can't measure it, there's that saying,
You
isn't
can't
it? You can't
manage it.
can't manage it. So
Yep,
if there's no data, how are we going to know the position of our safety, our health, our systems, our compliance? You're absolutely right, and
yep.
having a system like Zendelity can answer that for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Mm.
I mean, and even the reality is the data that they do have today. So if it's on paper, whether it's on paper or whether it's in a digital form, so there's lots of technology out there that's in essence creating digital forms.
Yeah.
Well, that's fantastic, but the reality is I can complete a digital form anywhere. I can't tell
Yeah.
you how many stories we hear of, the third party service provider filling in the form, sitting in his car, never even went into the building,
Oh
right?
dear.
Or the employees that they know the inspector's arriving, so they run into the fridge and they fill out the forms for the fridge temperatures,
Temperatures. Yeah.
right? And I mean that's how bad things happen, right? So our goal is to make sure, as I said, really tie it back to the specific asset or location that we're
Mm.
caring about for compliance, so that we know that the person was physically in that location. Now, if the job's not done, that's a completely different discussion
Yeah.
than I swear I was there. I promise.
Yeah.
I
Abs-
pinky swear, you know. I think it's time for us to stop relying on paper when it comes to our safety. We don't do it anywhere else in our business. You think
mhm.
of our financial data and our customer data and all of that, and the amount of money that goes into protecting that. Yet we're content as society to accept that somebody wrote down on a piece of paper sometime, right? It's an interesting
Yeah.
dynamic when you actually start to step back and think about it.
And I think with technology, we're in a technology era, and I feel, do you think that if you're not using technology in a way that's going to bring in those efficiencies, what do you think will happen to companies like that, especially for their safety and
Well,
compliance?
so great question, and so this is an observation that we've seen in the last little while, and that when you think of the people that are running our properties, there's a large percentage of them that are starting to retire out,
Yeah.
right? And so what does that mean? Well, just that means that all of the tips and the tricks and the know-how for running that facility and keeping it safe and whatever is going away with that person, right? And now, so now we've got a younger generation coming in to replace them. They're being handed pieces of paper that says, here you go, take over. I don't know about you, but I know my kids don't do good with paper
No, it's
or anything
all
written.
these things.
Right, it's all on the phone, right? So I feel as though when it comes to property technology and property management and our safety, that it's like we're at a preface for change, because we got people leaving, new people coming in. Our safety and our customers are demanding that our safety be looked at in new ways. With social media, things go viral. You can't sweep something under the rug,
Mhm.
anymore, right?
That's absolutely,
People are going to talk. So it's I really believe that we're at the forefront for that change.
yeah, that's so reassuring. Um,
Hmm.
let's just talk, a little bit about Zendelity, and what strategies do you employ for sort of growth and scaling of the business? So what could you share with our listeners for them to learn?
So we're very much kind of at the beginning of this journey. So we're in the process of really kind of working out those strategies, and that's actually been it's been an interesting journey for me, in that while I've spent my career in the enterprise B2B space, running marketing strategy, I've never been a digital marketing person, or I've never been a salesperson doing, email outreach and stuff like that. So that has been a really big eye-opening lessoning awakening for me of areas that I need to improve. But one of the things that we're really trying to be clear on is being targeted and specific. So
Hmm.
we have this very interesting, I mean, it's like we have an interesting opportunity in that we have the flexibility to work across any industry. If you need somebody to do something, it doesn't matter what it is, we can actually make sure that that job gets done and give you audit-proof data to comply it. So one of our biggest challenges is we could do anything, but from a marketing perspective and a sales perspective, we've really got to, you
Got a
know,
niche.
tie it in and
Yeah,
niche it in,
yeah,
which can be very uncomfortable, right? Because you know that there's so much more opportunity, and you know that you could make such a value in all of these different spaces. But that, I think that old crossing the chasm marketing book from back in the day still holds true, right? That
yeah,
we've got to pick a point and land and grow from there. And staying true to ourselves can be challenging, because you want to do so much, right? We're an early
yeah,
stage company. We're trying to make our mark. We're trying to create awareness, right? That there is a problem, and communicate that the scope of that problem. So yeah, that's, I know we got to stay focused, but it's so hard or it's so easy to be distracted by all of the opportunities that we have in front of us to make a difference.
yeah, yeah. So we can see some massive growth and expansion in the next 5 years for you.
Well, hopefully, yeah, hopefully it's I mean, I definitely think it's there, right? Is that's one of the one of our challenges, of course, nobody knows who Zendelity is, right? So getting people to answer the phone and take the time. This is a group of people that are exceptionally busy. Nobody's sitting around twiddling their thumbs waiting for me to call, right?
Yeah.
So, um, you know, recognizing that and staying focused, and then recognizing that I've got to educate people on the. A lot of people outside of this space don't really understand that it's still very paper driven.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like there seems to
Yeah.
be there's a big disconnect between corporate and the way a property is actually run.
Yeah.
I think,
Yeah.
right? Which is an interesting, which is interesting.
So I do remember. I've grown up in. I say grown up in facilities management from grassroots operational, and seen in the last 30 years just how certain things have migrated to systems, but then a typical example is that the systems don't talk to each other. So everyone's running off trying to do stuff, but it's then inefficient because it's different systems. It's getting better. It's getting better. I mean, I love that you've come on today, because in the facilities management industry, you know, there's millions of us. Yes, we're busy when you're on a client site. You know, your attention is, if it's 8 till 6 or whatever it is, you're fully focused on that client. So having a space like this where you can talk about your product, talk about what you do, and everything. I'm really happy that we can do that.
Yeah, no, and absolutely, it's excuse me, it's greatly appreciated, right, as an opportunity to do it. You know, I used to work for IBM, and you never get fired for buying IBM. Well, it's as a startup trying to, break in and make our mark. Obviously, it's different. So, but we've had Carlton has been they've done over 40,000 inspections, 200,000, compliance data points have been collected. They now will stand in front of you and tout the confidence that they have in their fire program on campus. And
Yeah.
that's, it's such a beautiful thing to know, right? Like I've sold call center technologies and phone systems and, business analytics systems and stuff like that throughout my career. But it's wonderful to be in a position where the value that we're bringing to our customers is improved safety,
Mm.
and making the world a better place. Like I I could take that, right?
That is
So,
a really, it's to be commended. It really is. And I just I love doing these, meeting amazing people like yourself, because it just it helps to raise awareness of great companies that are out there. It's not, sometimes there's always the big established companies, but then, there are some really great SMEs that exist that can really solve big problems that we have in this, particularly in the facilities management space where I am. It's very prevalent. So I'm going to ask you a question now. What's
okay.
the best piece of advice that you've received in your career?
Oh, the best piece of advice in it. That's a good one. I'd have to think about that. I think the thing that I have probably lived by, and that is, you have to work for 8 hours a day, no matter how you slice or dice it. So get in there and make a difference,
Mm.
right? Like, there- you know, and then probably as a female, stop waiting, stop waiting to be asked. Put yourself out there and say, I want it, because I think we can do it, and I think um, that's probably a fabulous piece of advice that I've gotten from people close to me, and that is, stop the waiting. Put your
Yeah.
hand up and make it be known that this is what you want and where you want to go, and you can do it. You know, this whole building a business. Sometimes you sit here and you're like, oh, this is a lot. You know,
I had that.
am I really doing this? You know, but we are, and you know, and I think that we can do this, and I think that we can really make a difference. So
Yeah,
it's good, but yeah, jump in, do it. You only
that's
live
some great,
once.
that's some great advice. Some great advice. So I always love to ask this question around work-life balance. So now that you're in this startup and building a business, how do you manage your work-life balance?
Well, it's harder now, I'll be honest. I have throughout my career, I've really strived to maintain a balance. It's been something that has been very important for me. So consciously turning off at certain times. Right now, where we are, of course, it's a little tougher to take as much, but you know, for me, I try and make sure that every day I do a little something for me. So my preference is going for a walk, and clearing my head is my happy
Mhm.
place to be. It's where my ideas brew, and I that's where I feel good. But yeah, I try and make an effort to make sure I've taken time in that day for just me, like not my
Yeah,
kids and my family and my husband and my business and my just me.
yeah.
And that's something I try, and I try not to waste time.
Hmm.
I really think that we spend a lot of time doing unproductive things, touching paper twice. Yeah, I don't know. I
You're so
so
right.
it yeah, like, and I just, I don't want to be here for 12 hours a day if I don't have to be. So I really try and make an efficiency part of all my thinking. Is this the right, so we can maximize our time and
Mm.
get it in my walk-in.
That's brilliant. Is there, Rebecca, is there a book, podcast, or resource that's been particularly influential for you?
um, we've just completed the LSpark SaaS Accelerator program here in Ottawa, and I think that it has been a fabulous program for us at this stage in our development because, you know, this is hard work trying to build a business, and your ups and downs and your roller coasters of emotions and when sometimes you're on the top of the world, other times you feel completely defeated. Yeah. So I don't know if it's just so it's not necessarily a book or a thing, but it's a network, I think,
Mm,
and trying to surround yourself with like people who understand what it is you're going through and the challenges that bring with it. Because it
mm,
is true. I think that, entrepreneurship is a very lonely sport. A lot of people don't understand like, the time and commitment and the resources to go, you know what I mean, going into it. You really got to make a life choice
yeah,
to do that. So I think, for me, the best thing that I can say is surround yourself with like people, join accelerators, um, and ask for help, right? Ask for. I used to think that, it made me look silly asking, I should know this. I've been in business my whole, but I don't know this,
yeah,
and it's okay that I don't know it. It doesn't make me a lesser of a person. So, surround yourself with people who understand what you're going through, and ask as many questions as you humanly can. And then my final thing I would say, but be selective. Too many
yeah.
people in this world want to waste your time. They want to sell you something. They want to do right. Everybody's
Hmm.
looking to be your next whatever, and so be selective. Right.
Hmm.
Your time matters.
That's a great piece of wisdom to finish on. Um, how can people contact you? How can listeners learn more about Zendelity and the great, amazing work that you're doing?
Well, please reach out directly. So I'm accessible on LinkedIn. I would love to connect, or even on Facebook. Our website is zendelity.com, or you can reach me directly via email at rebecca.wormleighton@zendelity.com. I would love to connect. Whether that is, we're in the process now. We're looking for investment. Of course, if you know any property owners or operators who prioritize duty of care and really want to optimize their resources and save some time and reduce some risk, we would, love to connect and chat and explore opportunities. And then we're always looking for partnerships.
Yeah.
I look at safety and facilities management. It's really a team sport. There's so many different players, and I think there's opportunities for us to bring value to service providers and vice versa, and the like. So I think we can really create a great community.
Yeah, yeah, partnerships are so powerful, and just with what you've said there, is there a link to a demo that you can share with me so that I can pass that on to our audience?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'll provide you with a link to a demo for sure. Yeah,
Yeah, and some
absolutely.
materials as well, so that we can spread the word far and wide.
Yeah,
Sharon,
thank you. I'll pop you off an email after this for sure.
thank
Absolutely. Thank
you.
you.
I've got Marie Caffey. She was on a special the other week. She just said, "Oh, very, very good," and thank you, because that's the kind of technology that the industry is crying out for. To be honest with you, Rebecca. So I want to.
Good. Well, I'm glad to hear that because it's and we really want to. I'll tell you one thing that we are committed to is working closely with our customers. I would rather I want to build relationships, and I want to build a solution that delivers value. So I say to all of our customers, like, we want to hear from you. If what's it missing and how can we improve? And that is something that is part of our culture and that we want to bring to our customers, because we see this as a partnership, right?
Yeah,
Hopefully a long-term partnership. And it's not a one-off. So yeah,
that's really.
please bring your ideas forward, right? Together we can make a difference.
Oh, that's really amazing. Thank
Yeah.
you so much, Marie. To our audience, thank you for listening. And for those that will catch up on the recording, this has been another episode of In the Spotlight with Rebecca Wormleighton, COO of Zendelity. Thanks, Rebecca. Take care and
Thank
enjoy the rest of
you.
your day.
Thank you. Take care. All the best. Bye-bye.